Welcome back, Guardians. Okay, so just kind of checking in real quick with the progress on the campaign final chap- uh, chapters. Excuse me. I'm heading to the Living Harbor right now, and yeah, still thinking about that whole. I don't know. I really want to say it's arrogance and a little bit of apathy to say that Destiny is an easy game, but you have to remember this is a first person, first person shooter, uh, looter power fantasy game. And there's an emphasis here on two key nouns: power and fantasy. You're supposed to be powerful. We're supposed to be god killers. We're supposed to be eternals. Well, not eternals, but immortals, really. We were eternals. Well, I guess we are eternal in the light. I mean, Cade came back, but maybe that was everyone's suspecting that that was part of Crow's wish.
There,
But anyway,
Strand.
the point I'm trying to make is
Yes,
that
and
when
Vex
you when
nearby.
you when
A
you
fine
have to
time to put our
hear
theories
other
into practice.
influencers, the people that Bungie likes to pull in for their little surveys of their content, um, whine about how easy it is. Understand it's supposed to be. It's a power fantasy. You're supposed to come here and do things you can't do in normal life. If you want a simulationist game, honestly, I would recommend Call of Duty or even Fortnite for that matter. When it comes to the lethality of gunplay and combat, uh, when you play, because I've oftentimes compared Destiny 2 to Dungeons and Dragons Fifth Edition. D&D Fifth Edition is a power fantasy. It is a high fantasy, high power. It's a power high fantasy. How would you put those three together? Because high fantasy defines the scope of what the D&D setting is. It's lots of magic, lots of mythical creatures. There's powerful, powerful entities. You walk with gods, for crud's sake. So how can you not say the game is easy or hard? D&D 5e is supposed to be easy. Characters have death saves. Characters have resurrection spells. Uh, I mean, I know I have to throw a parole into the mix oftentimes, but even in Dimension 20, character death is not a permanent state for D&D, nor is it a permanent state here for Destiny. As long as you keep playing the game, your character survives and moves onward. So calling the game easy is really like, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like calling the sky blue. Of course it's blue. It's supposed to be blue. We have a yellow sun that actually filters out, that actually supposedly shines down green light. But, because of optics and shit like that and chemicals in the air, we see it as blue, water vapor. Um, yeah, it's interesting. Why is the sky blue when we have yellow light to the sun? Because it's being split. It's green light that's coming at us, and the sky catches one spectrum, and we interpret the other spectrum by the inverse by looking at the shadows, or by shining it onto, you know, uh, a chromatically neutral surface. Sorry, segue. But the point is that don't ever don't feel bad that the game is easy. All right, don't feel like you're being cheated. Your experience is being hampered or diminished by having an easy encounter. It's a power fantasy. All right, and even though we're not always satisfied with the loot we get, it is still a looter. You spend a good portion of your time gathering glimmer, gathering resources, farming for weapons and armor, getting aspects and other things. So it's still a looter. First person, yeah, for the most part, it is. I mean, unless you want to like play with a sword, then for some reason swords have to be third person, which I don't understand. Well, actually, the headcanon I've had since supers go into third person for the most part. Uh, I don't think melees go into third person, but supers go into third person. I can show you right here. See, I'm in third person. Because when you're with a sword, I like to call it being. I like to say third person is your heightened state of awareness. Okay, whereas first person is like you here present in the moment. Third person is you reaching out to everything else around you kind of situation. That's why you go into third person when you play your super. I don't know if that's really what the designers intended, but that's the way I set it up in my brain to rationalize why a first person shooter game has so much melee and third person perspective. It just makes sense that way. And so, in that context, in that perspective, thinking about Destiny being easy or hard is completely subjective. It really is. So, you shouldn't be worrying about feeling like, oh man, that was a cheap encounter. What? Really? 30 seconds and I got the top end gun? Yeah. Yeah, it's good to be, handed a bonus like that. I mean, I've known a lot of tons. I could actually say tons. We're not lightweight people, us dungeon masters. The majority of us are pretty heavy set. But I've known tons of dungeon masters who have awarded third level characters fifth level magic items and then immediately threw them into this meat grinder mega dungeon. If they didn't have those magic items, they would not have survived the first three encounters. And then along comes 5th edition, and everybody's a superpower. Everybody's a Nimbus or a Rohan or Pirates. Even without his so-called ghost for resurrection, he still has a connection to the light. He still has power. He just has to be very careful about how he applies that power. So take these lessons from the NPCs in your game and understand that you are here for the power fantasy. You're not here just to shoot people in the face and get loot. You're here for the power fantasy. That's what draws me back to the game and what has drawn my friends back to the game. Oh, in spite of the fact that we have always said, oh, I'm quit this time, I'm quit this time. You know how many times the group of us has quit the game? I can't count. I cannot count in the 10 years that we've been playing since Destiny 1. Some of us, even as far back as, the alpha and beta tests, there's been multiple times we've quit the game. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's a whole season or a year. But we always come back because it's not just the friendships that we have that bring us back together, it's the power fantasy experience of the game. Because there are so many games out there that will punish you for even the slightest misstep. Go play Elden Ring, okay? Go play Lost Souls, all right? Frick, go play Gauntlet, the new updated PS4, PS5 Gauntlet game. That'll wreck your world. Power fantasy? Hell no. You can die instantly in that game. It is brutal. It is fun though, but it is brutal. So that's about all I want to really wrap up on this. Before we go forward into the final chapter, supposedly, of Destiny 2's light, dark, current causal saga, think about that. When you feel like, oh, that seemed a lot easier than I thought it would be, you're just that better of a player now. The game is just giving you something that you've been ignoring all this time then. The power fantasy. Because that's why we play games. So we can have that experience that we don't get in the day-to-day. You want reality, walk out your front door. Okay? You want reality, go hike somewhere. You want reality, go join an MMA. This is a fantasy. This is a power fantasy. This is the way the game is marketed. Embrace that. Read what's on the tin. And don't sit there and tell people, this game's too easy, it's boring, I'm done. Yeah, the game can be tedious. I think that a lot of shoe leather in the cutscenes is really not necessary. Get to the action. That's the way I like to play. So, anyway. Being a hypocrite is fun, too. Thanks for hanging out and listening to me kind of, chat on about this. Keep it in mind. Keep it in heart. Play the game. Have fun. And if you do really feel like you want a big challenge, there are plenty of games out there willing to take your time. Until then, thank you for stopping by. Be nice. Play well. Stay safe.